So this is a demonstration about how we can alter a stipple fill that we have created in a digitizing program. So what I'm working with right now is my Hatch program. You can see that I've got basically 4 blocks of stipple fill that I have positioned side by side using my array tool, just so that I can get an idea of how this block of stipple fill will look if I tried to stitch it side by side over and over and over again to fill up a piece of fabric. This piece here was the block that was made with a loop spacing of 5 millimeters. This one over here on the right in the green was the default of a 7.5 millimeter. So here's the block. You can clearly see where one block is butted up against its neighbors. And we can clearly see by looking at it this way that what we've got going on here is it's very obvious to see where the blocks are, where they're at as individual pieces. And the overall look that we're looking for is that we would not be able to tell where one block ended and another one began. With the smaller stitch spacing, this is the demarcation right in between here. And it actually looks pretty good along what's considered the top edge up against one of the bottom edges. So remember, it's the same block. It's just butted up against itself over and over again. Along the right edge, which is the left, also butted up against the left edge, we can see that we've got, some work that would need to be done. Now, we could go ahead and we could try to adjust the spacing by maybe not putting it quite so closely together. Actually, that made it more obvious, I think. But anyway, this is the way that you would actually alter this. These designs right now are embroidery object designs. These are not stitch files. These are the EMB native file format. So in order to actually figure out, making some changes in the way that these stitches are actually formed, we need to save these files as a JEF file or another stitch file. It could be a PES or whatever format that your machine wants to read. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to select one of my blocks of this EMB file. I'm going to cut it. I'm going to put it on a new page. And what I'm going to do with it here is just make sure that it's centered in the work area. And I'm going to save this as a JEF file. Now it's important that we save it as a JEF file because that way it's going to give us the ability to adjust each one of these little stitches individually. So I'll output it. I will export this design as a JEF, and I'm going to call it design number 6. You can see I've been working on this project for a while for demonstration purposes. All right, so what I'm going to do now is open it actually, and it'll just open in a new screen. So let's open. What I'm looking for is a JEF, and I want my number 6 right there. Let's open it. And here it is. Okay, so once this has been selected, remember now it's no longer an EMB file. And when I select my reshape tool, look at all these little, it's trying to identify all those little stitches. Okay, so this is where we're going to be able to zoom right in on these stitches. Gets a little crazy, and it can be a little bit slow doing it this way, but all right. So what I can do, actually, I probably ought to demonstrate this by bringing in one of that. Is this its friend here? I'm going to cut this one and take it over into design 6 and paste it. So it's right on top of it. I'm going to change the color to turquoise. I'm going to move it up. So I could work on that top edge, where it's going to intersect with the bottom of itself on the next bean. All right, so get your spacing about where you want it. All right, so this is an original file. That's not the one that I can alter. I can alter this stitch file here. And like I said a while ago, this is not a bad matchup. I think you could use a little bit of work maybe in this area here. So I'm going to select my design. I'm going to touch my reshape tool. All those little stitch points are now able to be seen as individual stitches. So I'm just going to try to zoom in here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag a box around this little section right here. Okay. And now that they're all purple, I can just grab them and I can move them a little bit. See that? And then maybe what I would want to do with these ones here, they don't have to be exactly nestled up against one another all the time. I could do that to those ones. Maybe these ones over here. Maybe what I'd want to do there is move everything there just a little bit. Let's just change the shape a little bit of all of those, okay? You get the idea of what I'm doing? I'm just dragging some boxes and I'm moving a chunk. Or I could move them individually. I could just select that one right there. Hit your reshape tool again, grab it, and move it where you want it. Let's move over a little bit and see what's happening over here. Maybe in this area here, I might want this one to arc up a little bit. Let's grab that one and move her just a smidgen. Maybe this one down a little, maybe this one like that. Might even want to delete one of these stitches in here because they're pretty close together. So that's what I'm doing. I've changed these stitches just by grabbing them in my reshape tool. And I'm just trying to match up this upper edge so that it would interlock better with the one up above it. So these ones here probably could use, gosh, I don't know. I'm going to make them go uphill a little bit. And then maybe what I'll do is, I don't even know, just play with it. See what kind of effect you can get that might help to improve some of what's going on in here. This is where it started, so that's why all those little stitches are really close to one another. I'm going to hit the escape key to get out of that reshape mode for right now. So I've worked on the top edge, and I think that that would probably be adequate. Remember that our right edge here was the one that we didn't like the look of. So I'm going to drag this one down now. Try to keep the spacing more or less where I wanted it. Take a look at that. Now we can see where we could really use some work in this area here so we don't get all these little hourglass shapes, right? So again, select your object, touch your reshape tool, zoom on in here. Takes a little while, on this hatch program. Just give it some time. I'm just moving along pretty slowly in here. So here, I probably would grab maybe those ones there, get my seasonal, I call it my 4-square, change things a little bit. You might want to change these ones also so that they're a little bit further over to this side. Right now some of these things look pretty jerky and pointy, but actually when you get into stitching these out, you might want to just change a few of these to make a couple a little more gradual curves possibly. Maybe change your stitch spacing a little bit, or who knows, play along with those stitches and get them so that you can see that what you would end up with would be a more cohesive look along some of these edges. So it would take some patience. I do have to tell you that. You can see that already. We never want things that are too straight lined. Just use your judgment. I'm going to drag a few over in that direction. Then maybe what I would do with these ones here is make them come back in a little bit more. Maybe make this maybe not quite so proud in that direction. So, okay, get the idea? So, you would want to do this to all 4 sides. So again, move your sample block down below. See how this bottom edge is going to play with the upper edge of the one next to it. And that's how you would do this in the hatch program. So I know that over in PEP, you can also create stipple fills, and I'm pretty sure that there's a way to also select stitches, and I'll play with that someday and make a video about it as well. But anyway, I hope that this little tutorial was helpful to you, and if you want to experiment with it, I welcome you to try it. It can be a lot of fun, but again, it'll be a little bit fiddly and a little bit time consuming, but it could be well worth it if you really wanted a smaller loop spacing and a different stitch length for your all over stipple fill patterns. Okay, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.